Hey everybody on YouTube, it's Rachel, the Student Witch, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm in the kitchen today because the lighting is better. I have a couple big ass door window things here. And also I feel like that annoying buzzing sound from the air conditioner isn't quite as strong in here as it is in the living room, which is right behind me. So you might hear the air conditioning unit outside though, so we'll see when I edit this, but welcome to my kitchen and welcome to a new little series that I've actually had rolling around in my head along with all the other marbles for quite some time. I just never found the right moment to sit down and record this, but I've had a few little synchronistic moments recently and I feel like now's the time to start this. So welcome to Tattoo Stories, or the stories behind my tattoos. I have 4 tattoos and I will be sharing at least some or parts of the stories behind those tattoos because there is some very personal information that I'm not willing to throw up on the interwebs for everybody to see and hear. But I will be sharing little bits and pieces of the stories behind all 4 of my tattoos. And the synchronistic moment that kind of spurred this is kind of twofold. First of all, last night I was making a little bit of progress in When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone. I've mentioned this book a few times now. It's my summer pleasure reading. It's also, I consider it part of my witchy education for my matron deity, which is, I call her Mama Creatrix. In my interview with Arwen that I did back in May as part of her interview series. Hi Arwen, if you're watching. She referred to her as root cellar woman. So this is a very ancient deity from Paleolithic, Neolithic times. She is, I guess just to keep the story short, she's basically the mother of all deities. And actually there's a great quote, and if you follow me on Facebook you might be familiar with this quote because I typed it out a few weeks ago because it just hit me upside the head. It's from The Golden Ass by Roman writer Apuleius from the 2nd century AD. And so it's really interesting how travel writing and chronicles kind of go hand in hand with empires. So a lot of the ancient Roman writers would travel to different parts of the empire and write about the people and things that they encountered in these other borderlands of the empire, these extremities of the empire. And so Apuleius, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but whatever, he was one of these travel writers who wrote about the goddess that he encountered, and these are his words, and these are the best words I've ever found to describe who Mama Creatrix, aka Root Cellar Woman, is for me. I am nature, the universal mother, mistress of all elements, primordial child of time, sovereign of all things spiritual, queen of the dead, queen also of immortals, the single manifestation of all gods and goddesses that are. My nod governs the shining heights of heaven, the wholesome sea breezes, the lamentable silences of the world below. Though I am worshipped in many aspects, known by countless names, and propitiated with all manner of different rites, yet the whole round earth venerates me. So, primordial, ancient Mama Creatrix. That is my matron. And the second half of this synchronistic moment came about when earlier today I watched Travis, the Pagan Scholar's recent video about aesthetics, and that really got me to thinking, and I'll link that video down below by the way, but that really got me to thinking about my aesthetic and how these past 3 years that I've officially been calling myself a pagan witch in some way, shape, or form has really just, not just been, but it's been in many ways an exploration of different aesthetics until I think I finally encountered what's my jam. My jam is these very ancient aesthetics, rock art, cave art, Paleolithic art and artifacts, but also kind of leaking into the Neolithic time period and the early civilizations, like very, very early civilizations. I'm thinking of the ancient Sumerians, the Babylonians, things like that, and even cultures and civilizations that came before them or right before them. So I found my aesthetic, and linking all this back to tattoos, if someone would ask me what my greatest advice would be for someone who is thinking about maybe getting their first tattoo, I would say, first of all, get a tattoo that has a great story behind it, which is one of the reasons why I'm making this series, because I feel like the stories behind my tattoos are kind of cool, at least they are to me. But also, secondly, try to get a tattoo whose meaning can age and develop as you age and develop. And that kind of leads me to the story of this tattoo. And I'll insert a better image of it here. So this tattoo I originally got probably 7 or 8 years ago, so when I was 21. It was the second tattoo that I got. I was visiting a friend who lived in Clarksville, Tennessee, and her family lives there, and that's where she mostly grew up. She was a friend from college, and I just felt like getting a tattoo. I had a little bit of extra cash, and we went to her favorite tattoo artist, and I just got it. I have not updated it yet. Yeah, I know it kind of needs to be filled out a little bit more, but I just haven't had the time or the money to do it. But so this tattoo, the story behind it, the first story behind it is, remember, thinking in terms of layers and layers of meaning that can grow and age with you as you grow and age. I originally got it because my friend pointed out that there was, at that time, I don't know if they're still around, but there's a publishing company called Liberty Press. Now, Liberty, and this is where unfortunately I kind of have to like edit out or not include certain very personal information, but liberty is a word that's very close to me for different reasons. Let's just say I would be giving too much personal information out there if I explained how. But so liberty, it's a part of me. Let's just say that it's a part of me. So she knew that about me, and she pointed out, hey, look, this is Liberty Press. Look at this symbol that they use for their company. And it was this symbol. I thought it was a cool looking symbol. I've heard of cuneiform. I knew that it was one of, if not the oldest known writing systems that we have archaeological evidence for in human history. And so I just based on that, I said, that would be a kick-ass tattoo. Let's do it. So years later, I actually did some more investigation, a little bit more detailed investigation about the history behind the symbol. And it's ancient Sumerian cuneiform, and the Sumerian civilization came before the Babylonian civilization. And I'll talk about them here in a little bit. And it meant liberty in the sense of freedom, being free from taxes or free from any debt or owing money or goods to a sovereign or to someone. So I was like, well, that's kind of interesting, but liberty for me, or the concept of freedom, really means being able to develop my own spirituality and develop independently of other people's sexism and you know, it had like feminist tones to it. Just being free and being a free spirit and being able to have autonomy over my body and autonomy as a human being to choose my own destiny, to develop my own spirituality and develop my mind too, and pursue what I wanted, to live my life according to my own ideals and ethics. That's what the liberty or freedom meant to me. Fast forward to yesterday, when I was rounding out the 3rd chapter of When God Was a Woman. And the 3rd chapter is women, where woman was deified. And so Merlin Stone, the author, talks about different ancient civilizations where she uses the archaeological evidence and scholarship from her time and before, because keeping in mind this book was written in the 1970s, so I don't know how much of this is out of date, but she used the tools and information that she had at hand to kind of speculate what life would have been like for those civilizations where goddess worship dominated over God worship. So we're talking about pre-patriarchal societies, very early ancient civilizations, and even the Paleolithic peoples. So she was talking about the Sumerians and how liberal their laws were for women. Women had they had higher status. They had the right to choose their marriage partner. There was a right to divorce. She had more autonomy over her body. The Sumerian hymns of the female precedes the male. The Epic of Gilgamesh reveals that the official scribe of the Sumerian heaven was a woman, while the initial invention of writing was credited to a goddess. And so the Sumerian civilization kind of seems, and I'm not a historian of this period, I am a student of history as much as I am a student of literature and post-colonial theory and things like that. But as far as like this type of history in that region, I'm a novice still, but it seems to me that the Sumerian culture or civilization existed right at that turning point where there seemed to have been a shift from goddess worship to and more matrilineal societies, and even a matriarchy, I'm throwing that word out there, to a violent patriarchy as seen in like Hebrews later, and even the Babylonians, and the Roman Empire for sure. But anyway, so she was talking about the Sumerians, and at the very end of the section about the Sumerians, she mentioned the importance of women and the mother goddess and things like that, and this word amargi, which is also written as amagi, and I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this right, but I'll have it here below, meant, it has a double translation of freedom, but also it could mean return to the mother, because ama, the prefix, means mother, and gi means to return to, so to return to the mother. And I read that and I just instinctively knew, holy shit, that's my tattoo. And sure enough, I googled it. I'll include the Wikipedia page below about the symbol, or about the cuneiform and the word itself in ancient Sumerian. And yes, it does mean, it can mean manumission, freedom from debt, freedom from financial burden, or freedom from owing something to the sovereign. But the root of the word means returning to the mother, returning to the natural order of things would be a way to see it, a return to the origin point. And it just hit me like, holy shit, this is a synchronicity with Mama Creatrix, my matron, a return to the mother, to the origin, to the beginning. Because, and this is something my husband pointed out yesterday when I was telling him what I was thinking about talking about in this video, He said it's so interesting how even when you initially got the tattoo 8 years ago, you still wanted to go to the origin of human writing, of writing shit down, basically, which is what cuneiform is. It's the first known writing system in human history, right? And so it just, all of these different layers came together, and it just was a sign I needed to share this with y'all. I needed to talk a little bit about this tattoo and how its meaning has grown and developed as I've grown and developed, but also as my religious, spiritual aesthetic has grown and developed, especially in the past 3 years since I've been a witch and since I've been exploring the pagan path. Forever a student on a pagan path, right? That's my little saying, my catchphrase. And it was just further, I don't want to call it a sign because I don't know if there's anything out there in the universe trying to communicate specifically with me, but it was an interesting synchronicity or even coincidence that to me I could read as a sign that I'm on the right path and that I definitely have found my matron. And 8 years ago when I first got this tattoo, I could not have predicted that. I could not have predicted that at all. So yeah, I can't wait to continue this series. I think the next tattoo I'm going to do is the one back here, which was my very first one, which also has a little bit of an interesting story and meaning to me now. And I can't wait. So maybe we can turn this into a tattoo tag. I don't know, like share if you're comfortable. Make a video for yourself and tell me in the comments below so I can go check it out. What's the story behind one of your tattoos or all of your tattoos? Or even if you don't have a tattoo or you're thinking about a tattoo, what's a symbol that's really important to you that you might consider putting on your body forever? How has the meaning of your tattoo changed over time, and how's that a reflection of your own spiritual development? Really interesting questions, and if you feel inspired, go for it and let me know so I can go check out your video, or just remark or talk about it in the comments below. So until next time, I look forward to your videos about your tattoos and whatnot, and many blessings. Bye.